Nation. Kid Nation.
Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation. Kid Nation rule!
It was supposed to be a bold experiment. What unfolded wasn't just TV. It became one of the hottestly debated shows in reality history. This wasn't just a show, it was a cultural flashpoint. Today, we're diving deep into the chaos, controversy, and consequences of the most controversial reality show ever made. A social experiment, gone too far. In the landscape of reality television, few shows have sparked the level of controversy, debate, and enduring curiosity that Kid Nation did. Premiering on CBS on September 19, 2007, the show thrust 40 children aged 8 to 15 into the middle of the New Mexico desert and asked them to build a functioning society virtually without adult supervision. With the backdrop of a reconstructed Old West town, no running water, and little guidance, the children were tasked with cooking, cleaning, governing, and even punishing each other. The idea was marketed as a bold social experiment, but critics and viewers soon asked, was this entertainment or exploitation? The premise. The concept was bold. Created by Tom Foreman Productions and Endemol USA, and hosted by Jonathan Karsh, Kid Nation aimed to test whether children could create a society from scratch. With minimal adult involvement, the children were expected to perform real-world tasks, managing chores, running a store, resolving disputes, and even electing a town council. Filmed over 40 days at Bonanza Creek Movie Ranch near Santa Fe, New Mexico, the show mirrored the chaos and tribalism depicted in William Golding's Lord of the Flies. However, unlike Golding's fictional work, the reality version had real children, real injuries, and real consequences. A $5,000 paycheck and gold stars worth thousands. Each child who participated received $5,000, regardless of how long they stayed. However, the producers added a controversial incentive: gold stars awarded by the elected town council to those who contributed most to the community. These gold stars were worth $20,000, and in some cases, even $50,000. The competition added an unsettling layer to what was already a high-pressure environment for young minds. The adults were there, but out of sight. While the show's narrative pushed the idea of total child independence, adults were present at all times. Camera operators, producers, medics, and child psychologists stood just out of frame. Despite this, their interactions were minimal, which led to the illusion and concern that children were being left entirely to fend for themselves. Producer Tom Foreman later defended the structure, saying that the adults had strict rules to let children take the lead. Still, critics and concerned parents questioned the ethics behind minimizing adult interaction when the cast consisted of elementary and middle school children. Controversy before the premiere. Before even a single episode aired, Kid Nation had become the most controversial show of the 2007 season. CBS declined to show full episodes to critics and instead organized exclusive screenings in schools across 7 major cities. The secrecy, combined with a promotional trailer showing children struggling with chores and governance, sparked national outrage. Medical experts voiced serious concerns. Dr. William Coleman, a pediatrician at the University of North Carolina, warned that children under 12 were unlikely to handle the psychological stress involved, particularly with cameras constantly rolling. Critics feared that children were being manipulated, exploited, or pressured into fame by ambitious parents or misleading promises. The real-life struggles on set. While Kid Nation tried to present itself as a controlled social experiment, behind the scenes, the reality was far more chaotic and deeply concerning. Sanitary conditions were among the most frequently cited issues. Jimmy Flynn, the youngest contestant at just 8 years old and the first to leave the show, later revealed alarming details. According to him, there was only one outhouse shared among all 40 children, and no showers were made available until after the first town showdown, which meant the kids went several days without hygiene. Beyond sanitation, the children were also burdened with adult responsibilities. They had to cook their own food, wash their own dishes, and clean their living quarters, often under stressful conditions. Injuries were not uncommon. In one of the most serious incidents, 11-year-old Devad Miles suffered facial burns from splattering grease while cooking, requiring emergency medical attention. Another troubling incident involved a child accidentally ingesting bleach, mistaking it for flavored seltzer water. Although medical staff responded quickly and the child recovered, these events highlighted a disturbing lack of adequate safety protocols, raising widespread concerns about how protected the children truly were on set. Legal and ethical firestorm. Once filming wrapped, legal scrutiny intensified. At the time, New Mexico had child labor laws that limited how many hours minors could work. Although these regulations were not enforceable during filming, other state labor laws still applied, and CBS had not obtained proper clearance. To sidestep accusations, CBS claimed the set was technically a summer camp and not a place of employment. The state of New Mexico disagreed, arguing that even summer camps have health and labor guidelines, which production failed to follow. Though no criminal charges were filed, the production's practices triggered national debates about the treatment of minors in entertainment. One of the most unsettling revelations was the 22-page waiver parents were required to sign, absolving CBS and producers of any responsibility for harm. Critics labeled the document a red flag, arguing it indicated producers were well aware of the risks involved. Ratings, reactions, and cancellation. When the show finally aired, reactions were mixed, at best. Most television critics were appalled, with the Washington Post's Tom Shales accusing the show of indoctrinating kids into a consumerist society. He noted how the children used real money to buy root beer from the saloon, yet had no power over their roles. Those were predetermined by the producers. Still, not all reviews were negative. The Los Angeles Times' Robert Lloyd praised its uniqueness, and Time magazine even listed Kid Nation among the top 10 new TV series of 2007. Despite the publicity and buzz, ratings were underwhelming. CBS canceled Kid Nation after just one season on May 14, 2008. A cult classic reborn. Although it was a commercial failure, Kid Nation resurfaced in 2020 as a cult classic. Popular YouTubers began reviewing each episode, unpacking its psychological layers, problematic scenes, and strange narrative choices. The renewed attention even prompted former cast members to speak out. One of the YouTube channel interviewed Jimmy Flynn, who criticized the show's conditions and recalled the bleach incident, confirming that ambulances were called more than once. Other participants like Anjay and Laurel admitted that while the experience wasn't abusive, it was definitely exploitative in retrospect. Many revealed that producers encouraged them to play certain roles to add drama. Olivia, for example, was edited to be a villain, though fellow cast members now defend her as thoughtful and kind off-camera. This revelation blurred the lines between reality and scripted drama, further complicating the ethics behind the show. Was it acting or was it real? This question fueled yet another controversy. Were the children merely participants, or were they unpaid actors? Reality shows operate in a legal gray zone. Union rules governing working hours and pay apply to actors, but not always to reality show contestants. The American Federation of Television and Radio Artists launched an investigation to determine whether Kid Nation violated its network code. Parents who witnessed the final day of filming claimed that producers asked children to repeat scenes, recite lines, and reenact reactions. Tactics common in scripted productions, but questionable in a reality setting involving minors. Producers' defense and retrospective. Tom Foreman has consistently defended the show, insisting that it was a valuable learning experience. He later remarked that he would like to revisit Kid Nation not with a reboot, but through a Where Are They Now documentary. Foreman maintains that the children were never in real danger due to the presence of adults on site. Still, watching the show today offers a sobering reminder of how far reality TV was willing to go for ratings and how blurred the line between entertainment and exploitation had become. A reality show that went too far. Kid Nation may have started with noble intentions to explore whether kids could build a society, but its execution raised serious ethical, legal, and psychological concerns. While it has since found new life as a cult classic and subject of academic debate, the controversies surrounding its production and treatment of minors cast a long shadow over its legacy. Was it an unforgettable social experiment or a disturbing exploitation of children for entertainment? Perhaps it was both. But one thing is clear. Kid Nation remains one of the most controversial reality shows ever created and one of the most unforgettable. If you found this deep dive eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more untold stories.